Hey there, let's look at rotoscoping in Photoshop. This is a really great process to give yourself a lot of artistic freedom to move out of video realism, photorealism, but also enhance video if you wanted to, and add little flares or accents or even fix things. It's a practice that has been around ever since the Fleischer brothers made their rotoscope machine to do things like Coco the Clown, and then later on, everything from like Betty Boop to Superman, and then Disney took over and used it for Snow White, and then on and on and on and on. It's got a great history, and it's something you can do on your own computer, which is pretty awesome. Or you can also just do it manually. I think possibly Mart may have shown you something about drawing on your screen, or like on your tablet or things like that, on actual paper, which is pretty cool. And that process is very similar to what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to make a new project, and we're going to need the timeline, but I'm not going to create a video timeline yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the layer menu, and I'm going to go to video layers. I'm going to say new video layer from file, and so I've got a clip ready to check out, and I'm going to hit open, and it plops it in to your timeline, and I can see that it's a video layer in my layers window. It has a little film strip thing, so it's very similar to the work that we were just doing with painting with video layers, but now we actually have a reference. This is a really nice slick nose slide to a heel flip. Yeah, that's really great. So couple things. Yes, it's a clip that's in my timeline. I should know about some of those control elements that we had talked about early on, which was like really focusing on our frame rate. So I'm going to go to select timeline frame rate. It is 30 frames per second. I'm going to bump that down to 15, and it still is the same duration, but it got rid of half the frames so that it'll take my work, it'll minimize the amount of work that I have to do, making me kind of move through this a little bit faster. The speed of the clip is still going to be the same. Well, that's totally normal. So now that I have this clip, here's the cool thing about rotoscoping. You could use a really low-res image or something from a while ago that was maybe 720 by 480 or something like that, maybe even something you grab off the internet. But if you're not going to see the clip, you can know that the painting and the work that you're doing to recreate it is what the viewer is going to see. So you could take a clip like this, and I'm going to hit transform. I'm just going to scale it up. It's going to be hard to see why. There we go. I have to commit to it. So I just scaled this up significantly, and it's going to look like garbage if I just kept it as video. But if I knew I was painting over everything and recreating this anyways, then who cares? You could even mash clips together. There's a lot of freedom here for as far as what the original source image is going to look like. Take note though that since I did transform it, it turned it into a smart object. So the little film strip icon is gone, but it still will play. Right? So I'm just zoomed in now. I'm going to hit undo because I want to see the whole thing. You can relocate these clips to be just in a specific spot if that's how you want to like focus on drawing or creating that work. So the first thing that you need to do is put in a blank video layer. I'd like this go away. Layer, video layers, new blank video layer. So now I have the ability to do things like embellishments. And I still only have my mouse, and this is going to be just really awful. But I'm going to take my paintbrush, I'm going to find some yellow, I'm going to make that really small, and I will zoom in just so we can see this better. So this being a video layer, I know that I can do things like, I'm going to turn my onion skinning on. So that's the only downfall of the onion skin, is that it is the multiply, so your background will get darker, and sometimes it's hard to really tell which edge is which. But you know what I can do is I can go to my onion skin settings and say that I do not want to see a frame after, and that'll make it a little bit easier for me, just the one before it. So if I were to do a little like burp, 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 little things like energy around them or something. I'm just totally freestyling right now. Next frame, I can kind of see where I did them, so maybe I'll kind of sort of mimic that a little bit, embellish a little more. That was around his hand, this was sort of around the knee. Maybe there's a new one that pops up here, and then I can come over like that. This guy will go over like that, and I can't remember what I did there, but I can sort of see it there. And you, boop, boop. And I'm just going to do, how many frames? I'll do 5 frames. Something just nice, quick, and easy. One more. So like I'm saying, this is a way for you to work with video and just add to it. I'm going to change that workspace to be here, and I'm going to turn onion skin off so I don't have to see that weird multiply. Bloop. So there's just some cool stuff happening to the video. I could draw horns on the guy, or like give him funky 80s sunglasses. I could have lots of different colors going on. I could paint trails. Like if he was moving, if I could see him moving more through the space, he could leave a cool trail on the ground behind him. You can have text pop up and things like that. It's really kind of cool. So embellishing an existing clip is totally rotoscoping. You're using existing material, referencing it, and you know, working with that space and the subjects. The buildings could have cool things going on with them, or the trees, and so I mean the sky is the limit. Now I'm going to get rid of that layer. I'll just turn it off because maybe I want to look at it again. I'm going to make another new blank video layer, and now I'm going to talk about like, what if I wanted to really paint this whole space? I'll zoom out a little bit here. I probably shouldn't have made that video layer just yet, so just bear with me. I'm going to create just a normal layer, and the normal layer is going to be with this button over here, the way you would normally make a layer. I'm going to make sure that it's just right above the video, and I'm going to create the landscape a little bit. So I'll use like my marquee tool, and maybe I start over here, and I'm just going to make like this bank. Oh, sure, that's fine. And I'll just paint that like that. I'm not going to worry about the insides right now, just for the sake of time. Time is money. I will give it that little lip there, though, because that's kind of cool. So that's painted in. And you can always check it out and see like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then maybe I'll also do like sort of the park edge. And this is when things can get kind of cool. I don't need to sample that particular color, but maybe I want some more of this like reddy, not really red. Sure, bam, something like that. And then maybe the next one is going to be like a horizon and I'll do something like this. That one, I will sample some, maybe from the tree. Boom. And then just something for the sky. There you go. So I've just recreated that. Because this was a tripod shot, it's locked down. I think it is. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh no, it's totally moving. Oh, if only it wasn't moving. At least you get the idea. How did I not remember that it was a moving shot? Psh, every skateboard video clip that's good is a moving shot. So anyways, there you go. This is a still layer, and it's going to be the same throughout the entire timeline. But I can then animate on top of it. So that's just a reminder. So now I'm going to go back to that video layer that I had created. I'm going to zoom back in so I can see this guy better. That's pretty good. I'm only going to do one frame because you know what the timeline does. You know how this works. But I'm going to get my paintbrush. I'm going to set my you can do. I'm going to keep that on normal. I was going to think about doing paint behind, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do just regular paint. I have to get a smaller brush still. Gosh darn, I'm doing this with a mouse. So I am sampling the color of his shirt, and I'm just going to do something like this. Paint that in. The nice thing about transparencies and stuff is you can turn that off and be like, oh yeah, I got some spots here I need to fill, or you can work with them and let them be part of your style. So then I'm going to sample this part of the shirt. I am going to change this to behind so I don't paint over the stuff I just painted. That's a nice little trick if you don't know about that. It's pretty groovy. This is like watching a friend play video games. It's not that fun, so I'm sorry. Now I'm gonna do his arm, and I'll do like, which part of the arm should I do first? I'll do the fleshy part. Boop. He's got like, I'm not gonna really focus on the fingers much because I want this to be a little more expressive. And then there's this dark part of his arm. Comes down like that, and it's got a few things like that going on. And then the pants, I want to go with the light part of the pant. That should work. And I'll just totally do the pants, not worry about wrinkles and shading just yet. But this is really fun. But it takes a long time. You have to paint a painting like, God, 100 times. Everyone thinks rotoscoping is like the easy thing to do. In this class, we get so many students who are like, I'm going to rotoscope because it's cool. It is cool. And they're like, and it's also easy. And you're like, well, okay. You report back to me and tell me how you feel about that. And then they report back and they're like, oh my God, I thought it was going to be easy. It's so hard. And you go, yeah. It's animating. It's painting. It's painting a whole bunch of times. I'm getting into my zen here. This is where I start to just disappear because it is fun and it's super like therapeutic. I got his body mostly done. Check it. There's some holes, but it's fine. Now the face, I'll just do this part, and then this part, and the hair, he's got some fun little hair. And if I wanted to, I could just go back to normal mode and put a little eye in or something like that. Bam. So now, yeah, there's plenty of spots I'd want to fill in unless I'm cool with the scribbly look. But if I did this on the next frame, and the next frame, the next frame, the next frame, the next frame, the next frame. Just sort of kept the same approach, knowing that I've got 2 shades for my shirt, 2 shades for my arm, 2 shades for the face, a little bit of hair stuff, and then just kind of stick to that. It'll end up feeling really great. But also, I've seen rotoscope stuff where the colors even change like crazy, and that's kind of fun. It can, it can be a little obnoxious if done like too much, but the great thing about this approach and the great thing about animation is that you can break away from reality. I can also exaggerate this and say that I want to elongate the arm and I want to make the head bigger and make it goofy, or just really kind of surreal. But you always have a reference of where it is, what position it's in, what the movement is, because you have that frame by frame aspect of the video, which is really cool. So that's one approach. The other approach could be video layer, new blank video layer, like really scribbly. I'm going to make my brush even smaller, and I'll keep that color that I have, but I could kind of do some scribble work here and get some hair and just kind of loosely referencing some of this information that's here. Uh-oh, I stopped talking. It's because I'm in my Zen place. I want to make sure it looks cool. It's hard to tell because it's so dark on dark, but once I pull away from this, you'll see that we've got a really neat version of this skater dude. That'll be far more expressive. Bam. So look at that. That's cool. Take on me, anybody? So this could be a start, and then I could do things like really lower that opacity down and sort of maybe just add a few little spots of, and this is why I really wish I had my tablet, but little things like that where it's almost like we're working with pen and ink and or watercolor or smudging pencil, and this in a sequence would just have so much life to it, and leaving other parts to the imagination instead of strictly relying on the video. So from here, the same process would be render out your result. Typically you'd want to turn off that video layer if you're just doing the artwork of it, or if you're embellishing like we were doing earlier, then you would leave that video track on. I suppose you don't have to. You could render that out with an alpha channel, just the paint itself, and put it in a video editor on top of another track, but I don't know, it's a little more of a hassle. But these things together could be kind of fun. Oh, that's neat. Even that's kind of cool. Actually, that's kind of cool. That's one frame, and that took me a while, right? So if you're going to go down this path, make sure you don't bite off too much, and I would just do some quick experiments first, 5 frames, and just try to find what feels manageable, but what also gets you really excited, so that you get into that Zen mode, like I was getting into, that allows you to really start to gel. I'm just going to lower the opacity of that one. Like even that's pretty rad. All right, see, I can't stop. I just can't stop. But if I also was following the lines of that bench that he's going to go onto, since it's a moving shot, not do a stagnant one, or even look at that, bam, so neat, so neat. Anyways, I hope that was helpful and maybe a little exciting and gives you an idea of some other ways to take your animation to a different level, even incorporating this with some hand-drawn stuff or a moving texture in the background that you composite with this could really be kind of exciting. So, okay, good luck. Keep in touch.